Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2021. It's 7:04 p.m. and this is the WORT Board of Directors meeting. And I call this meeting to order. The agenda has been available out on the drive, and if there are no objections, we will adopt that agenda. Are there any objections, any comments, additions? Good, we'll presume that's okay then. And then the draft minutes are also out on the drive, and things went pretty smoothly last month, and I think I've got everything on the minutes. So are there any objections? If not, we will proceed. In terms of communications for the public, I haven't heard anything. I will say something that I have asked the WRT staff to let me know what they think the conditions are that we should meet before WRT opens back up to volunteers. And once that discussion is settled there with the staff, then we will convene the COVID-19 task force and make a recommendation to the board about when we should reopen to volunteers.
And we're meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I know that that topic is on the docket for our staff meeting.
Yep, it is. And I appreciate that very much. We've had a number of people who've said, I'm vaccinated, can we open now? And so as soon as we get our sort of core staff who we depend so heavily on in a safe situation, I think we can open. So, but that's just me talking. That's not an official pronouncement.
Is it, Dave, is it going to be up to the respective supervisors, namely Shali and Sybil, to then determine who can still be doing remote and doesn't have to come in?
I presume so, but what will happen is the staff will make a recommendation, we'll present it to the COVID-19 task force, will then make a recommendation to the board, and the board will make the final decision. And I think that things will be phased just so that we can get, we've been out of the studio for so long that people are going to have to sort of learn again, and we're going to have some learning time. So we're not going to just jump in full force. So executive committee actions since the last meeting, we approved $1,300 to replace the water heater, which happened at a wonderful time to, I hope, to attract some more pledges to our pledge drive. And we approved $400 for advertising for the volunteer coordinator hiring process, for the advertising for that. So those are things that happened with the executive committee meeting before this meeting today. We have not had a a finance committee meeting today, but Marty agreed that he would give us a short treasurer's report. So Marty, if you would please. You're muted, Marty.
We didn't have a meeting today because our facts and figures aren't up to date with the change in bookkeepers. We hired a bookkeeper. She's eminently qualified, and so far the staff has said good things to say about how she's working. But there's still a lot of stuff. The last year hasn't been closed out because of the retirement of Suzanne, and around the time of the drive and updating last year's. But I can tell you this, I've looked at the bank accounts. At Summit, we have $427,046.26 in the bank. And at Heartland, we have $150,080.14 in the bank, which is a total of $581,126 $1,000.40. I did talk to the bookkeeper today. She said there are no emergency needs or irregularities that have been noticed. So we didn't have a finance committee because there was not a lot to meet about. So we are in financially good shape. I've only been around on the board for what, 4 or 5 years now. It's never been better in my tenure. It sounds like it may been a long time since the station was this in good shape, talking to longtime followers of the station. So there, of course, that's what we have in the bank. There can be outstanding bills that, like the water heater, we may not have paid for that yet. We haven't paid for advertising yet. I don't know what other things are out there, but there's no emergency, there's no seriousness to be concerned about, not financial seriousness. And I did tell you that I was on the hiring committee for the bookkeeper, and we're very happy with who we got. She seems to be jumping right in. She helped me today to get these figures together quickly. When I wrote to her, realized we wouldn't have a meeting. So I think we're in good shape financially. Are there any questions? We're hoping next month to have a very good report. She is intending to catch up on all the, Mary Jo is her name. She's intending to catch up on all the stuff that was put off because of the transition. She's been taking care of the day-to-day activities. I don't know if Doug's been working with her at all, but I understand Suzanne has. And it seems to me that she feels comfortable with the job and is raring to go. So unless there's any questions, that's my report.
All right, thank you. To my knowledge, we didn't get a programming committee report. Policies and bylaws hasn't met. Personnel.
Oh, no, policies and bylaws, policies and bylaws has met and continues to work through the volunteer handbook. I mean, it's the same report. I'm sorry, we didn't submit a report. It's the same report as every month, but we are making what I think is good progress and continuing to work through the volunteer handbook.
Thank you very much.
I was also pretty sure that I saw a programming committee report from Kurt.
Yeah.
He did submit one.
Okay, then I missed it.
Because it also included a recommendation to not go forward with paying for arbitrons.
I just got a strange message that says I've been signed out because my account is signed in from another device.
Well,
I hope
we still hear you.
Oh,
So,
good.
David, it's fine.
Okay.
I wanted to say about policy
Substantiation.
and bylaws, that policy and bylaws has been scheduling a lot of extra meetings to continue to make progress on the volunteer handbook. So I really appreciate all the time that everyone's taken to make this move along faster.
Yeah, and I would like to say something about the programming committee that did meet, and I sat in on it and participated. So I don't know whether they included something in there or not. Doug, if you read the report.
I did.
Yeah, we did have a discussion about Thistle. Is that not included? Did he not?
That was in there as well.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
in.
Right, so.
I saw it too.
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to note that there was a discussion about Thistle's effort to get on the kiosk, and decision made by kiosk with Shali not to do that. And that I thought that the programming committee was going to make some sort of recommendation about a policy thing that Shali was looking for, but I guess if they didn't, then it can wait. I mean, it's not a big deal right now, I don't think, because the issue was discussed in detail at the programming committee, and I thought Kurt said that the decision from the programming committee was sort of leave things up to Shali in making decisions about what could be a commentary on controversial issues. Doug, I mean, you were part of it or not? I can't remember.
No, I just read the report, but what I got from the report was that all programming must comply with the mission statement to respect all peoples and their environments.
Right.
And the nature of the trans exclusionary movement does not comply with that according to our mission statement. Which is why the kiosk is included as the access hour was, for the same reason.
Okay, yeah, that wraps it up. That's fine. We don't need
Yeah, I don't think any further action is needed.
No, there was no action needed. I
Yeah.
just wanted to mention that was in the report.
And I thought the process was really good. I appreciated, Gil, that you reached out to get some opinion from some outside people. And, you know, I think reading the script, it obviously was very not in line with WORT values and would have alienated many listeners if we had let it go on. So I'm glad that the Kiosk Collective stood strong and said no. And I think our process through the whole organization, from the kiosk to the programming committee to getting input from the staff collective and the board, has been excellent. So thank you.
I dropped the programming committee minutes into the folder for today's meeting. So if you go back there now, it's there. I haven't put it into the agenda as a hot link though, but it's there.
Right, well, there's no action required, so there's no
Right.
reason to, yeah.
Thank you. There is a community advisory board report. Megan put that in for us. There are some action items, but I have them in the volunteer outreach report section with Glenn, so that we're not going to skip those, Megan. We're just going to do them at Glenn's report.
So Dave, can we just acknowledge that it looked like Dylan joined and then changed his name to Anonymous? Dylan Brogan joined.
Okay, welcome. Welcome, Anonymous.
Oh, and Dave, not necessarily connected to the action item, just other new business on that report. We talked a little bit about outreaching to different community, especially in particular younger folks, to join the community advisory board. And so we'll be thinking about places to outreach, or they will. And then the other piece of news was just like, hey, let's try to meet the new volunteer coordinator over the summer so we can kind of, you know, get a jump on getting that new person oriented. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. There is a technology and facilities director report from Tom. As I recall, there are no action items there. He did report about our wonderful water heater. There were discussions by Mel and Floyd and others during the drive about what to do with the old water heater, whether it should be turned into some sort of a coffin in front of the building, and all sorts of wonderful, humorous stuff that Mel and Floyd do. It's always fun to listen to them. And I think Tom gently declined and said, no, we'll let these people haul it away because we don't want to haul this heavy, heavy thing away. So
they actually, just as an aside, I said, for an extra $20, would you haul this old water heater that probably was the one that was there when they replaced the one that we just replaced 39 years ago? It was just stacked on a corner in that furnace room.
Oh my God.
They were like, oh, sure, we can haul it away. So they hauled that one out as well. Happily, they give these to a recycler out of Jefferson, who then rips them apart and recycles them gently.
Mhm. There's a lot of steel in them. Go ahead.
And
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
we could have taken it out to the Farley Center natural burial ground.
No, sorry. No steel in the cemetery.
And I have to hop off the call. I'll hopefully rejoin shortly.
Okay, Stu?
yeah, big props to Tom and whoever else was involved in getting the app up and running. It's a great thing to have, and it's like a major thing for us to reach new levels of outreach. And also for those who've been trying to get WORT on their Alexa or Echo, TuneIn appears to be the problem. But if you ask Alexa, play Simple Radio, and then say, Alexa, tell Simple Radio to play WORT Community Radio, it'll come through. So that's the workaround for that. So he was able to fix that.
Well, fix is a relative term.
Right. It
Provide a
sounds really
provide a
simple to
workaround.
me. Yeah, really simple.
And then if you don't change what you're listening to, and you can just say, Alexa, resume, and you don't have to go through that whole tell Simple Radio to play thing. It'll be right there. So it's okay.
Now, hopefully, within like about another week or so, the same folks that brought us the WRT app are going to have a WRT skill for Alexa available, so we can eliminate Simple Radio and can say, Alexa,
cool.
enable WRT skill, or whatever the name of it is, and we'll be able to listen to WRT via that, as well as all our podcasts. We'll be able to listen to that same way on Alexa.
And Tom, what did it cost to have that app made?
$3,500.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic price. If we would have written that ourselves, I mean, if we would have paid to have that written ourselves, it would have been maybe 10 times that. So,
Wow.
Yep.
And will we be able to get those non-WORT apps delisted?
There was only really one who was egregious about it. And I did send a copyright infringement complaints to Google. I haven't heard anything back. The app is still up. I'm not overly concerned about it now that we're listed higher in the rankings than they are. So it's not a huge issue. And we've got our logo. The biggest problem that I had was that they listed themselves with an app name of WORT Community Radio.
Oh,
So, but they didn't have our logo. So they were just in a gray area as to, copyright infringement or not. But this guy or gal, I have no idea, but does this to close to 100 different radio stations across the country. And then I guess also has like apps for recipes where he just rips off cookbooks, strictly just to put advertising up.
clearly a bad actor.
But as long as he's not hurting us, I'm okay, I guess.
Okay. Thanks.
on to the business and events report. There is an action item. Doug, do you want to speak to that?
I would, if I could remember what the damn thing was, but
The,
I've been up since
annual
5 in
meeting-
the morning.
Annual meeting date.
Yeah,
7th.
we need to approve the staff proposed annual meeting date of Sunday, June 27th, which is basically the same Sunday that we did last year, because then the rest of the board elections will pretty much hinge on that. We have some wiggle room if we need to, if for some reason the 27th is terrible for a bunch of us. But that's
Now,
it.
we don't say whether this will be an in-person or a virtual meeting, and I don't think we need to say at this point. We just need to reserve the date. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to step in there. So what's the deal with deadlines? And Glenn and Doug are the most knowledgeable about this for elections, because I am increasingly committed to not running. And I want to make sure that I'm getting pressure from domestic partner here.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, and that's fine, Gil, because all you have to do is just not submit an application.
Okay, so what?
I mean, we know your seat is open. Right now we're looking at a voting open date of April 15th. So, you know, and everything is pretty much in place with being set for a 1 month voting window before the annual meeting proposed date of the 27th of June. But yeah, if you don't want to run, just don't submit an application.
Right.
Because it's not assumed that you're going to rerun. You know what I mean?
But so, I mean, there's no need to put, it's already out there that it's an open seat. You don't need to promote that.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
That's correct.
Yeah. Because we don't put in the promo whether the seat is like if there's an incumbent or not. We don't put that in the promo. We just say how many open seats there are.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you already told us, Gil, at least a month or two ago that you didn't think you were running. It's fine, you know, you've served well, and if it's time to not be doing it anymore, that's great. You know, someone else, we'll find someone else great to fill that seat.
No, I was just trying to figure out the technical details of that to make sure. Okay, good.
No, I just think it's important for us to all to think about a volunteer member who may make a great member of the board, and, you know, start thinking about recruitment even now. Even though we're a month away from the open application date, it's not a bad time to start hitting people up and saying, what do you think about it?
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking about, Doug,
Go ahead.
I'm thinking about getting Kathy to run again.
Yeah, right. That's going to happen.
After her vacation, yeah.
Good luck.
The point that we're trying to make is that we as board members can approach people and ask them to run for a seat. And don't just count on the announcement that we make on the air and on the website.
Exactly.
Because,
No, yeah, David, that's why I was bringing it up. Yeah.
Right. So thank you very much. So we need to vote on this 27th of June as the annual meeting date. So I know that there are technical ways of doing polling and voting and stuff with Zoom, but I don't trust those, and I've not used them yet. So we'll just use the old-fashioned way of saying, all in favor of the June 27th annual meeting date, please signify by saying yes or aye, or giving us a thumbs up. I see, good. Unanimity of the people who are here. All opposed, say no. Are there any abstentions? Okay. Next item is the listener-sponsored development report. Susan's report, as is usual, is very detailed. I please beg your pardon, but I didn't see any action items in Susan's report. She's really, really busy entering the information into the Civi database and getting letters out and so on, and getting premia taken care of. Thank you, Susan, for your report. She's not on the call, but
I would like to just mention a couple more things about Mary Joy, our new bookkeeper. I spoke with her today, and we're hoping to have first quarter financials ready for the April meeting. 2020 is closed out. I did prepare all the audit materials with Mary Joy's help, as well as Susan's help and Suzanne. And all together we worked on getting all the paper materials ready, and those were picked up by the auditor today. And then any subsequent materials that he needs, we'll be getting those to him as we need to. But she, in a couple of weeks, she should have all the donations from the beginning of the year to current entered. All the payables are done, but the receivables obviously still need to be entered and reconciled. But within the next couple of weeks, we should have everything all back on track again. And she is doing an amazing, fantastic job. I do want to echo what Marty said in that respect.
That's very reassuring. Thank you.
And thank you, Doug, for all the work that you've done to keep the finance department flowing during the time since Suzanne left, and doing payroll and all the things you've been doing, preparing for the audit. So really, really, really appreciate it.
Doug seems to be a jack of all trades that every organization needs, who can step into the breach in many
Yep.
different areas. So thanks, Doug.
Yeah, just call me a Renaissance man. I don't know. Or is it idiot savant? Is that what they call it? You're like, you just fall into it. You just like, oh, I know how to do this. I don't know. I've just always had that ability. It's weird. It's my superpower.
There is a music director report from Sybil, and I don't see an action item there. There is a news talk and public affairs report from Shally, and there's a link to the Google Analytics from Shally. Speaking of analytics and the new WORT app, I asked Tom about analytics for that, and Tom said that they're still gathering analytics. It's still early in the rollout, so we don't have anything significant to report there.
I also asked Tom to make sure that he could get analytics for the Alexa skill to determine whether or not it was worth the $200 a year investment in a year's time, or maybe for October. But
that's a hard question to answer, but yeah, we might want to ask our friends over at Wisconsin Public Radio to see how their Alexa thing worked out. But I don't know how we get analytics for something we don't have yet. You know what I'm saying, Shelley?
we're about to get it, and I asked Tom to look into that.
Okay. All right, good.
And before we leave Shelley's report, please note that her department had 5 more winners in the Milwaukee Press Club Awards.
Thank you. WORT has just done an amazing job on its news, and we did, speaking before about the music department, one of our hosts on the Sunday morning Musica Antigua show has received a Grammy Award.
Right. Yeah.
So WORT is really an award-winning radio station. So everybody take a bow. You've done really excellent stuff.
Yeah, has anybody at public radio won a Grammy? I don't think so.
Yeah, and anyway, we won't go there. So volunteer.
I don't know why not. We can go there. Yeah.
Someday over a beer, you can tell us stories of your WPR career.
No, I'm not. Long gone. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I know the Milwaukee. It's great to get those awards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got them, and they're a great outfit, and they know quality when they see it. Yeah.
And what that does is it helps us when we're trying to apply for grants, and
Yep.
it helps us when we're trying to ask listeners for support. That we do have quite an impressive standing at this point.
Goes in all my underwriting pitches as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, if we're done with Shah's report, could we just go back up for 1 second to Doug's report?
Yes.
And ask Doug, what's your current thinking on WORT stock? As I told you, Steve Sperling doesn't think Willie Street is going to happen, and that's about the same time. What's your thoughts on the prospects for WORT stock?
I think what we need to see is if the vaccination levels get to where they say they're supposed to be by June.
Okay.
Right now they're saying everyone in Wisconsin is supposed to be eligible for the vaccine by May. If that happens, I don't see any reason to not go forward. June is kind of the cutoff by when we have to have a definitive decision from the board, whether we're going to do it or not. And for right now, I'm just kind of tentatively holding the date. You know, if the board decides that, you know, things are looking a little iffy in June, maybe we should just hold off. I'm fine with June of 2022 as well. I mean, we can push this as far as we need to. I'd rather people are safe than worry about whether or not we put on a music show.
What drives the June deadline for making a decision? Is there something we have to notify of a go, no go, or what is the event that drives that?
It's more of the timing and how long it takes me to put everything together, including, you know, getting enough vendors, getting the bands together, getting the contracts out, checking in with the equipment suppliers. The new volunteer coordinator at that point would be coordinating over 100 volunteer shifts. So like there's a lot of pieces. I also am like out of state and unavailable the last 2 weeks of July, so that takes a big chunk out of it. So I would have to have everything together before I leave, pretty much. And then the last 6 weeks when I get back would be just making sure all the details are together.
What's your gut feeling as we sit here tonight?
Shit, GHC hasn't contacted me. I've had asthma since I was 2 years old, so I don't know. I would hope I would have had a vaccine by now, is what I'm saying, and I don't. And I don't know when it's coming.
Okay.
It's going to be a monumental task to once people become eligible in May to administer all those shots, and then it's one shot, wait 3 weeks, a second shot, wait 2 weeks, then you're immune. So that's 5 weeks from May 1st. So that's
well, but I think the Johnson & Johnson one is available in Wisconsin now too. So some of those are one-shot deals.
Yeah,
right,
that'll
right.
That's the one I got. It's one shot.
You know,
nice.
And we're talking September, which is well beyond that.
Yeah, yeah.
So Doug, are you think it's more likely to not happen than to happen?
Stu, I don't know. I don't have.
This is the journalist and Stu trying to get.
It's only March. I don't really, I don't have a crystal ball. What I can tell you is that it's not something we have to make a decision on right now.
Okay, fine. Okay.
If we decide in June, when we have a much clearer picture of the immunization levels of the public, I think we'll be much better informed to make that decision, and I'll have enough time to put everything together.
Okay, thanks.
One thing that we won't know though is how many people will feel comfortable coming out to an event in 2021 with things just starting to open up. So, I mean, it could be a lot of work for not a lot of financial gain. The next year seems to be much more promising financially, I would think. But anyhow.
At this point, I tend to agree with you, Glenn. But a lot is going to depend on what happens with other free events over the summer. Like, I want to see if they throw together a Concerts on the Square late in the season, because it's something they can do and have a lot of support for. And it's also the same kind of crowd level. So even actually bigger than our party. So I think there's going to be indicators out there. And I think if other people start indicating that they're going to go forward, I think we can go along, but I'm more than willing to hold off. Nobody's screaming for their money back from their deposits. And, the deposits that we put out, they're more than willing to hold on to our money till we're ready. So I mean, for right now, I think we just need to hold back, really see what happens in May. I think May is going to be a great indicator of how things are going.
One thing that I didn't put in my report is that I did order, there was a 30% off on Easy Up products. So I ordered these safety shields. They're clear vinyl panels that cover the top half of the booth. And so you can have a table and pass things under to people. And so we got 3 of these, figuring that it would keep people from coming in the sides, and you could stagger them to have airflow. And so, you know, we'll have those for the tent whenever we need to, and it'll be a safer situation inside the tent for volunteers.
Nice. Nice. Thank you. Anything else? Can we move on? Now we have Glenn's report for the volunteer outreach report. There is one action item, and that is to approve the elections that the CAB had of the chair and the co-secretaries. Any discussion of that issue? Seeing none, I'd like to ask for a vote on our approval of accepting the Community Advisory Board Chair and co-secretaries. All in favor, say aye, or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
All opposed, give me a thumbs down. Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, I will say that that was approved unanimously.
If I could just supplement Glenn's report slightly on the hiring committee for his successor. First of all, we did a wonderful thing selecting Jane, and Jane did a wonderful thing in agreeing to serve, because the process that she has led is so much better than the process which the previous hiring committee for the News and Public Affairs Director led. Now, we got a great result in hiring Shali, but it was a half-assed process compared to the process that Jane has organized. And I can say that because I was the chair of that committee. And what she's done is just embarrassed me at how inadequate a job I did. I mean, it's just spectacular what she's done. And you'll see the advertisement is out, the applications are out. We've already gotten a couple of responses.
I think we got 3 altogether.
We've got 3 in like the first day. And you see in Glenn's report that the the application deadline is April 9th. And we hope to have a decision to recommend to the board by April 24th. So we've got a really good timeline. We've got a great process with a rubric for making the decision making. It's really and I think in terms of our hiring guidelines, we'll be able to reverse engineer back from what we've done into what the hiring guidelines going forward are. And it's really just, I can't say enough about what a great job Jane has done. And it's a really good, well-functioning committee. So it's an encouraging status.
Yeah, what Stu said.
I wanted to add that the UW Diversity Forum presentation on a fair and equitable hiring process was very important, and they shared their presentation and notes and evaluation tools with us, and we're incorporating this process. And I think that it really is really groundbreaking as far as I'm concerned. And I'm really glad the committee reviewed the video and the notes and kind of jumped on that approach, because I think it's a much cleaner and fairer, more equitable process. And hopefully we've had so many improvements from the job description that we all worked on for a couple months. You know, though that was influenced by some feedback from Brian Bishel, who was part of that presentation. So I feel very grateful to them, and we'll send them a thank you note. But I appreciate the committee for embracing that approach.
That's very nice to hear. That's great. The last thing we have is new business. I received a call from Nate from the IBEW, and he let me know that they're going to start working on the negotiations for our contract with our collective employees. And so he said that he would be sending me a registered letter. And I said, I have a board meeting tomorrow night and we won't be able to get that before the board meeting. Can you send me an electronic copy? He did. I put it in the folder, so it's available for you to look at. I brought this discussion up a couple of months ago, asking for people to be on the negotiating committee, and the only person I remember volunteering was Stu. I would love to have somebody else from the board besides Stu and myself to be on that negotiating committee. Would anybody on the call be interested in being on the negotiating committee?
So how, what's the schedule for actually participating in that committee? I mean, when will, what's the time period we're talking about?
I'm not exactly sure. Glenn, do you have an idea about what?
Well, we would hope to have a negotiated contract before your term ends, Gil. Because the new one would have to take effect July 1st.
Okay.
So your term ends at the annual meeting on the 27th of June. So
yeah, that
we should be done with negotiations by then.
Yeah. Okay.
So usually the staff meets with the union in March to start the process internally, and then meetings potentially May and June, but I suppose they could be as soon as April. But then a number of us are involved in a hiring committee, including board and staff members. So probably May and June would be the negotiation.
Yeah. No, I'm willing to be on the committee.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stu. I mean, Gil and Stu and Dave.
I'm writing.
Typing, not writing.
Yeah.
That you sound like Truman Capote on Jack Kerouac.
We have nothing to discuss in closed session.
I have one item of old business actually.
Okay.
And that's the special election results. The election closed the first week of March. We had 46 votes, and it was unanimous to roll over voting rights. So 2020 participating members become 2021 participating members if their hours were not met due to COVID.
And if they're considered to be still active.
Well, right, and if they're still active.
Standing. So if someone's moved or they're not in good standing, then they'll be taken off the list. But otherwise, that list would be a pretty good list to look at for people to run for participating member seats.
Thank you.
We'll have some additions from people who started volunteering after we made the list last spring. So from April 1st on through now, anyone who started volunteering could be added to the list.
Doug, could you or could Glenn type up a little report and I'll put it in our minutes? Just the language that you just said?
Sure.
Okay. Just so that I get the wording right.
Okay.
So if we're moving towards closing, I would just like to thank whoever not Dylan Brogan is for joining the meeting. Okay. Glad that you're here.
That narrows it down, doesn't it?
Well.
And we should note that our friends at Isthmus also took a number of kudos from the Milwaukee Press Club as well, including, now if Dylan were actually on this call, we would congratulate him, but since he's not, we should note though that he also is taking.
Not Dylan Brogan makes a comment on the chat message window. So, any other business? Any other humor? Any other good stories? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Oh, except Jan got a new mic for her 8 o'clock buzz, and she sounds so good.
Oh,
I honestly thought she had already had one, and then someone complained, and I was like, what? I didn't take care of this in April. And so there you go, folks.
Did she get the one that you were recommending, Sally?
Yes. Yep.
She got that.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same mic for everyone that I recommend and that we have.
Did we supply it or did she buy it?
We supplied it.
That's good for us. Okay. All right.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Stu moves. Gil
I'll second it. I'll do it. I'll second it.
All in favor say aye or thumbs up.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Aye.
Are there any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
We are adjourned.